For most of us, the Clare Valley is synonymous with winemaking. But before the vines, these gently rolling hills and wide skies attracted bold, pioneering types with a different plan for the land. Families who would go on to establish a vast pastoral heritage.
This is magnificent Bungaree homestead. It's the centrepiece of a property that was established just a few years after South Australia was proclaimed. It's an extraordinary piece of our history, but it's still a working station, and it's a great way to get a feel for what life was like on the land back then.
In 1841, three brothers of the Hawker family sank a well into this land and found good water, which must have been a relief as they'd already bought 2,000 head of sheep. They leased the surrounding 270-odd square miles, and Bungaree Station was born, the state's northernmost settlement of the time. Now Mark Stewart's taken the reins with his wife Vicky Hawker, and the arrival of their daughter heralds the family's sixth generation at Bungaree. He says it's incredible that so many of the historic property's buildings remain, and from the outside at least, all 17 are pretty much untouched. They form part of a history trail that visitors can enjoy in several ways, either as part of a group tour, perhaps during an extended stay, or simply by dropping in, picking up a map and taking a stroll.
There's very few places left like this in South Australia, and very few again that are even open to the general public. It's pretty amazing that all the buildings that they built for the family that lived here are still intact today and in good working order.
Mark takes guided tours around the homestead gardens and all the outlying buildings. The magnificent main house is something to behold, but it wasn't always so grand. It started as a 5-room mud and gum slab hut and became this more substantial home by 1880. But the second wing and balcony weren't added until the turn of last century. The property became a focus for the entire community. In summer, the regional council met under the shade of the garden's huge oak when it was too hot inside their chambers. As guests soak up the scenery, they can add to the experience by listening to audio recordings at posts all along the history trail, quaint anecdotes and historical tidbits.
Back in the day, a property like this had to be so much more than just a farm. Because it was remote, it had to provide everything for the people who lived and worked here, from accommodation to food to transport. In effect, it was the whole village.
So as you wander along, you'll get a glimpse of just how self-sufficient Bungaree was. The blacksmith shop had to turn out tools, nails, hinges and parts for all the wagons and carts, not to mention shoes for over 100 horses, ponies and even donkeys at the turn of last century. The station's store is particularly interesting. Even with the arrival of the motor car, Adelaide was a day's drive away, so just about everything workers needed was stocked here. It was a hardware store, come pharmacy, come bottle shop. Of course, the soul needs sustenance too, and a church was built for the family, the workers and their families, then given to the local parish.
Still a working church today, although be it not as busy as what it used to be. We still have a service once every quarter, and we always make sure we have a service every Easter and Christmas Eve as well.
At its height, the property ran 100,000 head of sheep. There was even a special breed of Bungaree merino. Nowadays, the woolshed is just as likely to ring to the sound of guests enjoying a dinner or a wedding party. But this is still very much a working station, and visitors can have a taste of that side of the property as well, quite literally.
When a tour group comes here, I do a guided tour around the property, normally down to the woolshed, up here in the gardens and then up to the church. They can have morning tea, or we do like a full catered lunch. We can do a roast lunch using our lamb, our beef or our venison that we grow here on the property, or we can just do a light lunch, just depending on the day.
Bungaree is also a great place to stay and play. Many of the outbuildings have been converted to accommodation, and the property sleeps up to 50, making it an option for conference groups or family and friends looking for a destination for a special occasion. Or if you're just in the area and want to pop in, that's fine too. Just ring ahead.
And this may well be how you wind up your visit to Bungaree, enjoying the warmth of a fire and a glass of the Clare Valley's finest Riesling. Not a bad slice of South Australian life.